to Penn State versus Michigan. This is another good one. Gus and Joe on the call again, Steve. I feel like they're like the official or unofficial broadcasters of Michigan football this year. I feel like
Yeah.
they have been on the call for the last month when it's come to Michigan. I love Gus and Joe on the call, so I'm not mad about that whatsoever. This is going to be a really good football game. This is the early slate game of the week in my mind. This is one you got to pay attention to. We're going to really see what Michigan's got. Now we've had the possibility in the past to see, okay, when they played Maryland, is that going to be the week they finally get tested? Okay. We saw maybe some signs of weakness against Indiana last week. That might be because of the issues that happened with Mike Hart on the sideline. I think that really actually had a big deal with their psyche and their confidence. They looked great in the second half. They really stepped up. On the other hand, Penn State, last year they battled in, they came in and they were undefeated until the sixth game of the year. Then they headed into Iowa City and lost, and then they ended with a 7-6 record. Their season fell apart last year at this time. Now they head into the big house. This is going to be a big game. What's your take on this one?
Well, I'm going to give you more of an Eeyore take on this, in that it's a battle of undefeateds in the Big Ten. I wish I could get excited about it. How good is the Big Ten? I think this game in itself is kind of a microcosm that can answer that question. It's not that, as I knock over all of my equipment, it's not that these are bad football teams or that it's a bad conference. It's just it's very underwhelming, I think, across the board this year. So I I tried to get worked up for this. I mean, you would think it'd be easy given my pathological hatred of all things Penn State. You think I would really be all psyched and jump all over the Michigan bandwagon? Um, and I'm gonna pick Michigan in this game. Uh, I think it's all up to how brightly JJ McCarthy shines in this game is going to tell us how good Michigan really is, because Michigan's a deep and talented football team. Ultimately, since McCarthy has taken over, as he performs, his team performs. If he has another solid game, as I suspect, I think that is going to tell us volumes about whether Michigan is seriously going to contend with Ohio State to win the Big Ten.
JJ McCarthy played mistake-free football against Iowa, something we said absolutely had to happen against a top-notch defense. In this case, Penn State's not as great as a defense as Iowa. They do have maybe some issues in the secondary, but that doesn't go unchanged. McCarthy still needs to play mistake-free football if they want to remain in this football game and stay competitive. I do think Michigan can win this football game as well, but it does rely on the quarterbacks. It also relies on Sean Clifford on the other side. Last year, when I said their season went to absolute crap in the sixth game of the year, that's because Clifford went down with an injury. He had to linger throughout that injury all season. We haven't seen that this year. Clifford really hasn't been as great as he should be so far this season. So we're still waiting for that next level for him to unlock that we've seen in years past. So I think that there's an opportunity he can really step up this week. JJ McCarthy, we've seen, even though he is a young dude, can be poised against tough defenses. I think that doesn't change in this one. And then also, I mean, we can't forget to rule out that we have two great running backs in this football game. Probably the two of the best. I shouldn't say the two best, because there are a lot of good running backs in the Big Ten. The two of the best in the Big Ten with Blake Corum, and then the sensational freshman in Nick Singleton. So I think that it really comes down to, we might see the winner have an advantage in time of possession. It might come down just to that, or maybe a few broken plays in the secondary. I'm kind of leaning towards Penn State to make that mistake if that's the case. The line has sat at about -7 for Michigan. It's down from 7.5 that came back a couple days ago. Some people are projecting Michigan to win by 12 or 13 at most. That's as far as I've seen as projections. That's where you're sitting too, it looks like. I'm going to take Michigan on the points here. I think they can win by 7. That's as far as I'm going. I mean, I don't think it's going to be 12 or 13. It sounds like as far as you are. I think 10 is the max that they win this game by.
Well, again, my confidence is confidence in McCarthy getting the job done. You're absolutely right. It's going to be time of possession. And it's now, in fairness to Penn State, they have risen to the occasion on the road against the two tough road teams, that they played. I mean, okay, Auburn is not the Auburn of old, but you're still going into an SEC environment, and they thumped them. They absolutely took them to school. No pun intended. I don't see Penn State being able to match up and keep pace with what Michigan is going to do. I do believe that McCarthy's going to take advantage of the fact that the Penn State defense, which is a solid unit, it always is. Just like they always have a good pair of running backs, and they do with Singletary and who am I forgetting? Oh my God. Well, whoever the other guy is, he's another freshman, and he's the guy that is maybe more of a big play breaker. And I'm sorry, Penn State fans. I know it's a block. I block anything
The hate
positive.
is real for you. I know it.
I
know
mean, it
is.
really, really is, and it's not fair to you. So that's why I want to point out, some positive things here, for your team. Penn State, your team did rise to the occasion on the road this year, and they have the ability to win the time of possession. I think that they're just going to get outclassed, down the road. McCarthy's going to exploit the fact they're going to be keying so much on Corum that he's going to be able to make some, not necessarily big downfield plays, but he's going to be able to make those sideline passes and keep drives going. So that's where I'm so confident that Michigan's going to cover. And I really do think that by the fourth quarter, the cream rises to the top. Penn State is once again going to have to position themselves the rest of the year to see what SEC or Big 12 team is going to kick the daylights out of them in a bowl game. And Michigan starts gearing itself up and preparing itself for that showdown against Ohio State.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think there's an opportunity that Penn State could win this game. I do think an upset is possible. I think we have an opportunity for 6 upsets in this one. We're going to talk about 6 games on the 6-pack. I think there's an opportunity for an upset in all of them compared to the favorite. But I'm leaning towards Michigan in this one.